What's going on YouTube? I got a brand new video for today, and today we're going to be making a hunter build for the Nightfall for this week. It's the one on Europa with the giant streaker at the end. Has overcharged linear fusion rifles, void surge, so 25% more damage to targets, and also for solar surge, 25% more damage to targets. And we also have a solar threat, which means 25% damage is going to be taken towards us, so that's going to hurt us bad with that 25% damage. And there's also going to be anti-barriers and unstoppable champions. This Nightfall is definitely probably one of the harder ones in the game. It's not one that you could just breeze through unless you like top tier player. Like if you just top tier player, you and your friends got all the right builds, or you just built like that, then it's probably not that hard for you. But for the mass majority of people who play the game, it's one of the harder ones. And this is the hunter build that I have for you based on those armor mods. This is how we figure out what guns that we're going to use. The Outbreak Prime. This thing can chew through an anti-barrier very quickly, and it's even faster if you got the whole team using it, and it's very nice to have. We have Abraham Action, which is a rocket-assisted solar sidearm. This is going to be used for taking down those unstoppable champions, and going to be used for taking down wizards, because wizards have solar shields. This is a solar weapon, and we get that 25% damage increase with the solar weapon. This is going to be perfect for us. And for our last weapon, for heavy weapon, we have Cataclysmic. This is going to be good for taking out the streaker at the end, and any other heavy targets. If you want to take out a unstoppable, this is going to be good for that. And it's also solar. And we also get the 25% damage increase to linear fusion rifles, which this is. So this is going to be good, and this is the lineup of guns that you're going to see us use. And for our exotic that we are using Orpheus Rig. Orpheus Rig is very good at getting your tether back very quickly. Provides ability energy for each target tethered by deadfall anchors, and Morbius Quiver has an additional shot, which we're not using because we're on Prismatic subclass. These are the abilities and fragments and aspects that we're going to use. Obviously, we have the tether as our super. The class ability, we're using Gambler's Dodge. So whenever we dodge, it recharges our melee whenever we dodge near an enemy. For jumping, I'm simple. I just triple jump. For our melee, we have the Withering Blade, which is going to be nice at slowing people down. It's also going to come in handy with the aspect that we have, and it's going to fit together very nice. For our grenade, we have Swarm Grenade. This is going to help us build up that light energy, and that Withering Blade is going to help us build up that dark energy. For aspect, we're using Gunpowder Gamble. This is a solar explosion that you throw out, and it scorches everything around it, and it makes an ignition, and everything blows up. Very nice to have. It's going to play wonderful with our tether that we're going to use, because we're going to tether, we're going to throw that. It's going to be nice. You see the gameplay. It's going to be nice. And for the last aspect that we're going to use is Withering Shroud. Whenever we dodge, it slows down nearby targets. But the main thing about this aspect that I like is the fine print. Slowing targets briefly increase your class ability regeneration. So we're going to increase our class ability regeneration with that. Whenever we dodge, slow things down, get more Withering Blades because we have Gambler's Dodge. Whenever we charge our melee, whenever we dodge, it's going to be nice. It plays very nice. Now when it comes down to our fragment, this is what we're going to use. We have Facet of Devotion. Defeating targets afflicted with stasis or strand debuff grant light transcendent energy. So whenever we hit an enemy with Withering Blade, or we dodge near an enemy, that applies that debuff, that darkness debuff on them. And then when we use like a grenade, or we shoot our sidearm that's solar, it's going to give us bonus light energy whenever we do that. So that is fantastic. The next fragment we have is Facet of Sacrifice. While you have an Arc, Solar, or Void buff, ability Final Blows grants darkness energy. So this kind of plays like Facet of Devotion, but it just flips to the other side. So anytime that we have Amplified, anytime we're Cured, anytime we have Radiant, anytime we have Devour, Invisibility, or an Overshield, and we do damage with our Withering Blade, it's going to give us more darkness energy. And whenever we roll, like whenever we dodge and slow enemies down, it's also going to give us darkness energy. The next fragment we have is Facet of Ruin. Increase the size and burst of shattered crystals and frozen targets. So whenever we freeze targets, whenever we roll and hit them with Withering Blades, it's going to shatter them with an increased area of effect. And whenever we throw our Gunpowder's Gamble, it's going to have an even larger area of effect with our solar ignition. So that's going to be good on both ends. Facet of Purpose. This is very nice on all builds. Pretty much every build that I've made or seen people make, they always have Facet of Purpose. Whatever super that you have equipped on your Prismatic subclass, picking up an Orb of Power is going to give you a buff from that super. So if you rock in a Void, which we are, it's going to give us an overshield. If you rock a stasis super, it's going to give you frost armor. If you rock strand, whenever you pick up an overpower, it's going to give you woven mail. If you have arc, you're going to be amplified whenever you pick up an overpower. If you have solar, you're going to have restoration whenever you pick up an overpower. So this is good all across the board. Very nice to have, and having that overshield whenever we pick up an overpower play into facet of sacrifice. So whenever we have that overshield, it's going to give us more darkness energy whenever we use our abilities. All this plays together very smooth, so that's very good to have. The next fragment we have is facet of protection. While surrounded by combatants, you're going to be more resistant to incoming damage while transcended. Very nice to have, obviously, because we're going to be getting down and dirty with some of the rolls and throwing blades and stuff like that. So this is going to give us more protection as we're doing that. And whenever we have transcendence, we're going to be more resistant to damage. So this is perfect to try to stay alive. And for the last fragment, we have facet of hope. While you have an elemental buff, class ability regenerates more quickly. So whenever we pick up an overpower, we're going to have that overshield. And we're also going to be radiant due to one of the artifacts that we're going to have. We're going to get into that later, but this is going to help us get our dodge back faster, and plus the slow from the winter shroud. This is perfect. All this plays together very smooth, so it's good to have facet of hope for the last one. All right, before we go into our armor mods, we got to go over some artifact mods that we're going to put on to make sure this all flows nice. So there's 5 artifact mods that you got to have on, and the 5 are in the ones in the last 2 columns. One of the 5 gotta have is solar fulmination. Ignitions do increased damage and increased radius. So obviously whenever we throw our gunpowder's gamble, it's gonna make an even bigger explosion and do more damage. And this is also another that's very good to have, radiant orbs. While you have solar or prismatic subclass, picking up an overpower will make you radiant, which is very good because that also plays into some of the artifact mods that you're about to see later on. And that also plays with some of the fragments that we have, like facet of sacrifice and facet of hope. Those 2 things also, this helps with that a lot as well. For the third artifact perk you want to have is counter energy. Whenever you or a member of your fire team stun a champion, you gain energy for your least charged ability. Being that this is a Nightfall, there's going to be a lot of champions, so this is going to happen a lot, which is very good to have this perk as well. And for the last 2, you got shield crush. Whenever you have a woven mail, frost armor, void overshield, your melee recharge faster and deal increased damage. While you're amplified or radiant, your grenade recharges faster and deals increased damage. We're going to be both of these things at the same time because we have facet of purpose that give us an overshield whenever we pick up an overpower, and because we got this radiant orbs on, whenever we pick up an overpower, we're going to be radiant at the same time. And for the last artifact perk, we have transference. Gain increased grenade and melee damage while transcendent. And weapon final blows while you're transcendent refund light and dark energy after transcendence ends. So whenever you get kills while you're transcendent, at the end of that cycle of being transcendent, you're going to see that you're going to have bonus progress on your light and dark side to start you off to get you ready for the next time you go transcendent. Before I get to the armor mods, I'm going to go over some of the stat distribution I think you should have. Definitely always have 100 resilience to get you that 30% damage reduction, especially when you're doing a Nightfall, because you're trying to survive. That's the main goal. The next stat I think you should have at 100 is discipline to decrease that grenade cooldown. We got it down to 52 seconds with the grenade that we have, which is very good. Plus some of the artifact mods that we have can help with that as well. And the last one I think you should have at 100 is intellect. Now intellect is going to decrease the cooldown for your super ability. So we have our tether at 5 minutes and 48 seconds. And you paired a fast intellect with Orpheus rig, you're going to get your super quickly, like very, very quickly. And having your super to spam in this Nightfall is very good to have. And strength for this build is not that important because we have 2 blades, so we have 2 melees we can use, and we also can use our dodge to get our melee back if we ever need it. And we have a bunch of different things that's set up for us to get our dodge back, so we really don't need melee to be that high or high at all. So the main things I will focus on was intellect, discipline, and resilience. All right, when it comes down to the armor mods, I have a solar siphon and also have a kinetic siphon to give us orbs of power whenever we get kills with our outbreak prime or our rocket assisted sidearm. And also have a heavy ammo scout, so whenever I find heavy ammo, my teammates will see it as well. For our arm mods, we have heavy handed. You have power melee, final blows creating orb of power, so whenever we get kills with our withering blade, That's gonna drop orb force, grant class ability whenever you cause damage with our power melee. So any damage that we do with our withering blade is going to give us energy for our class ability, so we can roll and get more withering blades to use again. All this is gonna play smooth. And for the last one, we have impact induction. Causing damage with your power melee attacks reduce your grenade cooldown. So that's going to be very nice for us. And for our chest piece, we have all solar resistance mods on because we're taking 25% more damage from incoming solar damage. So since that's the buff that we have for this Nightfall for this week, I have all solar resistant mods on. And for our legs, we have an installation, reduce class ability cooldown each time you pick up an overpower, so we can roll and dodge and get more melees back. And we also have orbs or restoration, picking up an overpower grants a small amount of energy to your ability with the least amount of energy. So whatever has the least amount of energy, it will put more energy to that ability whenever you pick up an overpower. And for the last one, we have better already. Your health begins to regenerate immediately after picking up an overpower. And also, don't forget, whenever you pick up overpower with this build, you're going to have an overshield. So if you know you're about to die and you see an overpower, do everything you can to try to grab the overpower, because when you grab it, you get an overshield and your health is regenerating immediately. And this is also going to play into what we have on our cloak. We definitely got to have a powerful attraction. Automatically collects nearby orbs of power when activating your class ability. So whenever you roll, you'll see like this small, like not, I'm gonna say small, like, but it's like a electric field that pops up, and that's trying to grab every overpower that's around you. So whenever you roll and you pick up an overpower, you're gonna have that overshield, you're gonna be radiant, and your health is going to be regenerating. All is going to happen at the same time whenever you roll and you're by an overpower. So that's very good to have. And also, whenever you roll, we have a Reaper mod on as well. Shortly after using your class ability, your next weapon final blow is going to spawn in another overpower. So whenever we roll, we're going to get that overpower back after we kill something with this Reaper mod. Very good to have. And we also have one outreach, reduces your melee cooldown while using your class ability. So even though we're rolling by an enemy to get our melee back, but since it's withering blade, we get two. So this is also going to help try to get us that second withering blade as we roll around and throw melees and stuff like that. So this is also good to have as well. And that is it on my prismatic hunter build for the Nightfall on Europa for this week. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe. I hope the gameplay in the background that you see shows you how to really use this build and what situations and everything like that. And it's very nice to use this build, especially for this week with this Nightfall on the Hunter class. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.